right, so I'm trying to find it where it was in the chat. I can't really find it. Let's see. Oh, wait, there it is. From Jared, and you mentioned this earlier, but I didn't even know you were talking about one singular game. And Jared asked, what's the number of passes behind the line of scrimmage we have to be leading the SEC? I'll look up that number as Matt's talking here. But
In the
Matt,
SEC, yeah.
well, I don't even know leading, but I'll tell you exactly how many it is. But Matt did mention 11, not this year, 11 in this game.
In this past game. 38 pass attempts.
We're at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, 38 pass attempts against Ole Miss, 11 of them behind or at the line of scrimmage, which, means screens. You're not going to throw a real pass route at the line of scrimmage unless, it could be a check down or swing route, but 11 pass routes behind the line of scrimmage. If you take those pass attempts away, our passes down the field, we were at 40% completion, which, if you're doing the math on that, that's called losing football right there.
42 for the year.
42 total passes behind the line of scrimmage.
42 passes at or behind the line of scrimmage.
And we did that. We broke the first 3 weeks down, I believe, before the Southeastern game, us kind of making our case, like something's not right. The game plan has changed based on something that is not right. We don't know what it is. Then the ab stuff came out. We were hoping he wouldn't play. I don't know if it actually would have helped. I have no idea. We don't know the details of it. But all we could tell you, based on a game plan, based on these stats of how many passes behind the line of scrimmage, how many screen passes, the lack of production down the field, even the lack of attempts. We had a lot more attempts this past week, but maybe we shouldn't have. Because it wasn't good down the field. That's something, based on all that, something's not right. And we talked about it hour one. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Garrett Nussmeier's lack of production, and we can all see it. Not playing well. Passing game is not a threat. And if that's your biggest threat, and it's not a threat, it's not a good situation.
Well, it is your biggest threat because right now you're not threatening anybody in the run game.
No, there's not one person in the SEC or outside the SEC for that matter, I guess, because Southeastern sure wasn't, that is afraid of your running game.
Yeah,
they're not afraid of how your linemen are blocking it. They're not afraid of the scheme. They're not afraid of the footwork your linemen are using. They're not afraid of the footwork the running backs are using. We've seen running backs miss holes, miss reads, but we've also seen them not have any holes or reads to make. So there's not just one thing to point out in this whole situation. The easy thing, the easy pickings is, play calling or, Nussmeier's production. Something's not right with Nussmeier. I don't know if we'll probably never know, but I can tell you it's got to be a fact, right? There's no way that it's not based on what we've seen. Now, if this is his first year starting, I'd just be like, oh, he's just not very good, I guess. But we know he is.
Yeah.
It's not just what he's done in the past is not an accident. And it's certainly not an accident that this big of a drop-off in his production and the way it looks. But there's not just one thing to point at on the offense. It's everything. Literally everything. Aaron Anderson has been the bright spot, the absolute biggest bright spot of the offense this season, and he goes down early in the game.
Yeah, he went down, and, he's that guy that you go to in, any clutch situation. Certainly that's been the point of emphasis in every clutch situation over really the last year and a half there. But, there's so many different things that you could point out offensively right now, and most of them, if not all of them, are negative.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of what, at times, if I was to pick out a positive, there was clean enough pockets at most of the game to be able to throw out of. But then it turns right back into the frustrating part of having a clean pocket to throw out of.
Yep. And I think it's probably if you're listening out there, you're like, man, this is got a real negative right now because we lost. If we would have somehow pulled it off, which we easily could have pulled the game off, right? Yeah. One play here, 2 plays here, whatever it is, easily could have played. The tone's a lot different. And I get that. And you're absolutely right. The tone's always different when you lose, according to when you win. Loses highlight everything even more. But there's been deficiencies we've talked about every single week. Now, you highlight a lot more positive because everything is still, because it hasn't jumped up to bite you just yet. There have been deficiencies on the offense all year long. We haven't seen any on the defense this year. This is, I mean, they would probably tell you the worst defensive performance, and it was still pretty good. It was still winning defense, winning football out there on the defense.
I know the yards they gave up, but they were on the field for 90 plays. 90
plays, 50 in the first half.
90 plays.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you could say, get off the field.
I mean, A.J. Halsey, who's on the field for 88 plays, played incredible, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, A.J. Halsey was a dude out there. I thought P.J. Woodland played great. Like, he made the adjustment, right? They were one-on-one coverage. They were throwing those back shoulders. The referees weren't letting them hand fight. And so, look, and you have to play to how they're officiating the game. And then he figured it out, and he went out there, and he made a hell of a play on an interception and almost took it all the way back. I thought TaMarcus Cooley played another great game. Like, there's performances on the defense that are winning football. Now, do you want to get off the field on third down? Absolutely. That was the story of the game for you on the defensive side of the football. They were 50%. They were 8 of 16 on third down. But when you pair it with kind of the game flow and things you had to do to win the game, I thought there was enough winning plays on defense to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say. Can't say the same thing about offense.
Yeah, for sure. There was enough, especially going against that team. There almost the secondary was not that good. They looked pretty good. They looked the part. They played fast. They played quick, but they shouldn't have been able to match up with our offense and our talent. But yeah, it's easy after a loss. I get it. It's easy pickings to come in here and talk negative. And if we would have won, maybe it's way more positive, obviously. But that was the first time all the deficiencies that we have seen and kind of talked about and pointed out, and all the fans can see it. Even when you're winning a game, if you can't run the ball, if you can't do this, if you can't throw it deep, all these different things. There's always hope that it's going to change and it's not going to bite you in the butt and put a loss in the loss column. Like there's always kind of hope. Like, we're doing this bad, but we just got to change this. Well, if you don't change it, eventually it's gonna catch up to you. Yeah. And then at that point, once it does catch up to you, and it's like, well, we didn't make the adjustments. We didn't make the changes. We didn't get better here. We didn't go through our mistakes last week and cut those mistakes out. And then you get a loss in the loss column that you shouldn't have. And yes, the defense, that's our identity this year. Defense is our identity. I didn't have that on the bingo card, but it is. And that's just the fact of the matter. So it's easy to highlight, man, you got to get off third down. But they did play winning football. Ole Miss made some plays. Lane Kiffin made a couple of good play calls. I still don't think that Chambliss is a championship caliber quarterback. I think Ole Miss will lose a couple of games this year. I was trying to find a positive way to end that.
Oh, no.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
I will say, obviously the one drive for the defense was in the fourth quarter where you gave them, 50 yards free. You gave them penalty yards, and I think that was it was a touchdown drive. But Wes Weeks, it's about to be 2nd and 20, right? And he's rushing the passer, and he does a good job of forcing a throw, and it's an errant throw, and you push him at the end, and you get 15 yards. And that drive, they ended up getting 50 penalty yards, so half the field in a penalty situation. Like that was one. That one hurt as much as any of them because you had plays, obviously, that you were going out there, you were successful, you had the right call, and then unfortunately, I have to go back and see exactly when that.
I think the biggest,
how many plays that
from
drive
a defensive
was.
standpoint, the biggest negative takeaway that I took from the game was our lack of communication and our missed assignments in the pre-snap lineup off of a timeout.
Yeah,
I believe I counted it 2 times out of a timeout on the field. Where it was a big play, either third down, or maybe it was a 2-point conversion. I can't remember what it was. That we had to line up, and they motioned. We didn't make an adjustment. And there was one time there was 2 defenders to cover 3 receivers out to the right. They just didn't make so. I think the communication. I don't know what happened. You would think, it's the best time to be prepared is coming out of a timeout because you get to talk to the coaches face to face. Everyone's huddled up, talking to their position coaches, talking about all right, this is the defense we're running. If they motion here, this is what we're doing. If they stay in this formation, this is how we're attacking it. I think that was probably the only part of the day that I was like real disappointed in on the defense, was just simple things, lining up right on defense, coming out of a timeout. Those are the only two things. Like, there's other things, the third down efficiencies, some PI calls, things like that you could really harp on. But like those are combative penalties. Those are combative mistakes. Like, your guys are trying, they're holding them to a minimal amount of points. Your offense is getting 3 and out, so we're on the field a lot. We're tired, we're exhausted, but we're fighting through it. But like a mental error from that standpoint was really the only thing that I was like, man, we got to clean that part up.
Yeah, it was that second quarter touchdown drive that I was talking about. It was 5 plays, 70 yards, and I believe 50 of it was from penalty yards, because you had them on their 30-yard line. You get a stop for no gain. They get a holding call, so now it backs it up to the 20-yard line. So it's 1st and 20. It was going to be an incomplete pass, and that's when West Weeks gets a 15-yard penalty for roughing the passer. So they get it back on the 35, and then you've got incompletion. Now you're at 3rd and 10, but you get an offsides penalty, so now it's 3rd and 5. Okay, so another penalty, and then they complete a pass for 12 yards. And then they complete another pass before you get a 14-yard penalty, and then a 15-yard penalty, and then you have a 15-yard touchdown run. So, I mean, that drive, that's really the one. That's our first touchdown. So you just start to play the what-if game, and we always play it, right? What if you don't get the initial roughing the passer and 2nd and 20? That's not a quarterback that you want to live 2nd and 20 if you're Ole Miss, right? That's not his skill set. So those are the kind of plays that we're talking about, because you give them new life. They get it back out to the 35, and then here they go. And then, you get 2 pass interference penalties in that drive as well. That's a big moment in the game. Yep. I mean, because you're talking about second quarter, you're up 7-3, and then, it's only 1:40 off the clock there. I believe that's what the time of possession was. Yeah, 1:40 in that drive. And again, 50 of the 70 yards from penalties.
I'm sure if we stopped them right there, we would have lined up, gone under center with a fullback, run it about 50 yards down the sideline. It would have been a big play.
All right, touche.
After that, big play action fake, dime piece down the field. Hey, you want to know something positive? I would say most everyone here projected LSU to be 10-2. So, got one to give still.
You got a mulligan?
We got a mulligan.
You got a mulligan.
So, hey, not bad. Not bad. I projected us 11-1, so
you did.
Got to win out, but everyone else was 10-2. So, guess what? Nobody expected us to go undefeated, did we?